Hi there! Good news, everybody! Preludes 13 has released, and with its release comes a slew of information that everyone is trying to decipher, and well, I'm gonna take it one step at a time. So this is gonna be a little bit of a series, actually it's just gonna be a series in general, explaining all the new and reworked virtue mechanics. So let's start with the virtue rework. Nothing too in-depth about weapons, joineries, and armor. We're keeping it really baseline-ish. So first thing, there's something we need to address, and that's the point distribution system. It's no longer here. Instead, we have the new Prism system that allocates points for us. There are 12 in total, coming in 4 categories. There's the starter prisms, hybrid prisms, extreme prisms, and wild prisms. If we think of these prisms as specializations, it'll make things probably really easy to understand actually. For example, courage-aligned prisms allow us to use the best armor, big weapons like greatswords, and have increased health because, health scales with courage now. Spirit-aligned prisms will use the lightest of armor, have access to some really specific split-scaling weapons, use magic weapons obviously, and have scaling global cooldown reductions as the perk. Finally, grace prisms will wear middling armor, really basic stuff, use fly blades, short blades, bows, and have increased finisher, headshot, and stealth damage. A little deeper into the categories, let's just start with the starter prisms. These will allow us to spec into certain virtues while keeping the other two virtues somewhat close, around like a 6-point differential. As for extreme prisms, these will be used when you want to spec quote unquote, deep into a virtue while foregoing the other virtues entirely. There is like a hefty 25-point differential. Now this doesn't mean that Pact abilities aligned to virtues you aren't spec'd into become worse. They function at a baseline, so while they won't be worse off like I said, they won't be great either. So if you say choose an extreme spirit prism, expect spirit abilities to shine the brightest and to have amazing global cooldown reductions. It'll be really nice. Hybrid builds, though, will be difficult with these prisms, so this is where you get pigeonholed into specific playstyles based on the virtue. Little fun fact though, the wild and extreme prisms are functionally the same, but the wild ones are a little less extreme, as shown on screen. The extreme points are a smidge lower, and with a bit of finagling, we can probably make a hybrid build out of a wild prism. Sadly, they'll be gated behind the founder packs, so I'm not gonna speak much on them. But Crab, what about the hybrid prisms for hybrid builds? I'm glad you asked. They have an even distribution between two virtues, with the third being left behind by around 10-ish points. These also seem to be rather solid, as they lead into some interesting builds, like a Spirit, Courage, Baromius. The extra health and the CDR is honestly kind of insane, and will probably be meta-defining, if it wasn't bugged. Like, please, someone fix this. It's doing 1 damage to level 1 enemies. I think it's pretty nice, the rework so far, if it's a little restrictive at lower mastery ranks. But we can supplement any point issues by using Talisman and, well, the also reworked and heavily nerfed virtue upgrades in the Pact trees. These will help us to reach armor weapon requirements. It's very easy to do now that each virtue are on their own branch. Now, you'll know if your hybrid build and its distribution is working if your weapons and armor have a little virtue icon in the corner. This shows that you meet their virtue requirement. It's really simple, and if there's no icon, then you can't use it. Don't worry though, I'll explain everything about weapons and armor at a later date. For now, let's just keep it to prisms. So, how do we acquire said virtue prisms? Well, all the patch notes, now starters are based off your initial pack selection. You can acquire the other two by visiting their respective enclaves. So Silent Rose for Grace, Kith of Kings for Courage, Alka for Spirit. The rest are all standing grinds, with extremes coming in at rank 2 and hybrids at rank 4. And while this may sound tedious, there's no more time gate between switching factions. So the only thing you gotta worry about is the daily standing cap, and that's been made even easier as world trees work as quest boards rather than standing around waiting for your tier 3 quests. So you can probably get your extreme prisms within a day and your hybrids within 2. Either way, I think a lot of these changes are pretty good, maybe not great, especially hiding the prisms behind standing grinds. I'm not too keen on that, and I'm still unsure on build variety with the prisms, but that's something we'll explore in the future. Either way, enjoy Preludes 13, and hopefully we'll see some hotfixes soon.